Remember that first time you were asked, what are you going to do with your life? And you started to imagine what your future would look like? Yeah, I don't really remember neither. See, society has set a specific path for us because it's easy. You know, it's the typical get an education, graduate, work at a nice big company with great benefits and retirement, make a lot of money, get the house, have some kids, retire, and then die. That's pretty much the route for majority of us, or at least what the world wants of us. But you know, as I say, usually within 2 years of retiring, most people end up dead. Just kidding, that doesn't happen to everyone, but statistically, See, I never wanted that specific life. I always thought, why do I have to follow this specific path? I didn't know what the heck I was doing with my life, so I had no choice. So I got caught into the vortex. I was sucked into this path of least resistance. While, yeah, it may still be considered rather difficult and it's not easy, it is still the most safest route for the majority of people, especially if you're coming from a background like mine, where low income, single parent household. There. It's okay, my son. It's where true movers and shakers are created. And I've read all kinds of books like this. Think The 4-Hour Work Week, Vagabond by Ralph Potts, Art of Nonconformity by Chris Guillebeau. Yeah, I just can't. As you can tell by now, if you've been watching my videos and listening to my podcast, I'm not the type to take the traditional route. I like to forge my own path. And I've been studying how to escape this beaten path for the longest time. So The Pathless Path is one of the books in my current arsenal. I've been rereading it, and this book couldn't have came at the most opportune time. If you watch my video, which I'll put somewhere here, if you watch my video about my layoff back in January, you know how important this is to me. And it's a layoff season. Lots of people are being laid off. So I'm wondering, who this book might help out there that's not looking to go back to corporate America and want to forge their own path, or no path at all and just live life in a state of flow. And that's totally okay. I originally heard about the book through Ali Abdal's YouTube channel. And if you watch his videos, please let him know that I said hello. Tell him I sent you. And of course, what caught me was the title, The Pathless Path. Imagining a new story for working life. And I've been thinking about a new way of work for a very, very long time. Not only that, but the opening of the book has a quote from the great Ram Dass, may he rest in peace. And that quote goes like this: "The pathless path where the journey leads is to the deepest truth in you." I'm a huge fan of Ram Dass's work. And what fascinates me most about books like this is that they embed their own story. It's not like a to-do, those old self-help books that were very to-do, how to do it and things like that, which is great, but most people don't take action on it. People are moved by stories. And Paul had a life that most people can only dream of, whether that's growing up in a decent family home, at least taken care of by both parents, and going to great schools, having great grades, being very determined to get to the Harvard, MIT, I forget what school he went to, but he went to one of the big Ivy Leagues. And he hustled himself into getting a 6-figure salary by his mid-20s, working for a big consulting agency that most people would die to work for. And what's great is that he explains that throughout his journey, something was really bothering him. And just a side note, I truly wonder how many people actually have this itch. I had the itch. I've spoken with people who've had the itch. And it's the itch of like, I need something more. There's more beyond this purpose. Maybe you have golden handcuffs, so you don't want to leave that. Yeah, maybe you like your job, but it's not actually the thing you want to do. So you spend your nights and weekends trying to work on your thing, whether that's music, art, or maybe you're a jiu-jitsu instructor. Maybe you're an instructor for guitar or piano lessons, and that's your true love. But there's just not enough money to be made in those places. And a quick side note, this is where I'd like to actually ask you, what is your itch? Are you currently in a job that maybe it's cool, maybe you hate, but you feel there's something more? So comment below, what is that itch? What is something or a creative pursuit you're pursuing? So there's so many sections of the book that really stuck out to me. If I had to break it down to 3 parts, I'm gonna use quotes to really exemplify what the book is all about, at least in my eyes. The first quote: "To be useful, to be honorable, to be compassionate, to have it make some difference that you have lived and lived well." quote by Leo Ronstein. 2, and this is through Paul Millard's friend, Ki Hai, who provides a perfect description for the phrase, pebble in my shoe. 15 years into his successful career in finance, he walked away to find a new path. However, it took him a long time to make that decision. He reflected, quote, it definitely wasn't a sudden realization. It's a little bit like having a pebble in your shoe, where you're walking and something is off, and it's mildly uncomfortable, end quote. Even through midst of raises and promotions, the discomfort would subside but never disappear. He realized he'd become a passive participant in life. Eventually, this convinced him to embark on his own pathless path. Number 3, in thoughts about the future, worry is traded for wonder. People stop thinking about worst case scenarios and begin to imagine the benefits of following an uncertain path. They get curious about who they might become if they embrace discomfort and are filled with a sense of urgency that says, if I don't do this now, I might regret it, end quote. You probably get it by now. And most of the time we're receiving all these, you need to do this, you need to do that, through parents, through family members, uncles, maybe even mentors. And I always say, look at their life, ask them about their life, be very curious about what they do. No one's perfect. Everyone has shadow sides in their life. I've talked about this before on my podcast. And most people have certain aspects of their life that you may not want. I mean, we just want to follow the people that inspire us. We want to have their lives, but we have to make it our own and just use them as inspiration. And this is why people who get into their field many years, take all this school and training, they end up really disliking it and either dropping out or continuing onto their path until they have a midlife crisis. And this is what I believe currently, especially with all these layoffs and where the world is now. We're currently going through another cycle in the economic environment. Things are going to change. They may change for the better and they may change for the worse, because the way of working for the past 50 years is no longer working. And there's many aspects of work that are changing and shifting. And once we have a company who has a lot of respect in the market make those specific changes, no one's going to follow suit. So it may take a little bit of time. And this is why I think everyone will be their own business owner, their own business that as a person in the future. And we work on only things we want, not for one specific company, but the whole of the economy. And Naval Ravikant, the current day philosopher investor, has said this.
What I think we're going to see is, whether it's 10, 20, 50, 100 years from now, high quality work will be available. We're not talking about now driving an Uber. We're talking about super high quality work will be available in a gig fashion, where you'll wake up in the morning, your phone will buzz, and you'll have 5 different jobs for people who have worked with you in the past or have been referred to you. It's kind of like how Hollywood already works a little bit with how they organize for a project. You decide whether to take the project or not. The contract is right there on the spot. You get paid a certain amount. You get rated every day or every week. You get the money delivered. And then when you're done working, you turn it off and you go to Tahiti or wherever you want to spend the next 3 months. And I think the smart people have already started figuring out that the internet enables this, and they're starting to work more and more remotely, on their own schedule, on their own time, on their own place, with their own friends, in their own way. And that's actually how we are the most productive.
Not a lot of people want that. People want safety. But with the layoffs and all this happening currently, are you really safe? I think that work in the future is going to look very different. It's going to be, yes, you're supporting this company to reach whatever goals they're trying to reach, but how are you supporting your community, your family? How do you make sure you're taking care of yourself to produce better and quality work? And instead of looking good, it's like going into the office 48 hours a week when really your work only entails 25 hours. So you're really wasting the rest of your time at work because it looks good to the boss, because they can see you. But now it's going to be like, are we actually utilizing our time effectively, and are we actually doing good? And this is a question that every leader should be asking. It's like, we should have more fun at work. Fun is the biggest part. It's why we're here in life. You look at children, they just have a good time and they learn things along the way. Instead of your traditional lunch pizza parties or going to the bar after 5:30. This is why I love Severance, because they really make fun of this in their own serious way, but it's very satirical, because they have all these like parties But it's like, what, are you kidding? Like, that's not fun, and that's not fun for everyone. And I think fun is what brings true joy and true creativity, and companies can learn from that. But I don't know, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's the way I see the world, how I grew up, the things I value, that's allowing me to talk like this. Do you have a nagging pebble in your shoe? These are my thoughts of the future of work. I think we deserve a better life. We deserve a better future. I know that is true for me, which is why I'm curating a YouTube channel. It's why I'm doing the things that I'm doing, because I do not want to fall into the default path, as Paul Millard talks about in his book. Instead, I'm trying to follow a pathless path, trying to create my own path as I move forward. Or are you content with staying in the matrix? It's your choice.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.